Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining today. Today's webinar is going to focus on the offers that we announced at Discover Las Vegas, as well as some other offers that are relevant today. And so I'm pleased to have you all join us today. I want to introduce our presenters. First, I'm Harris Schneiderman. I run this webinar series. I run our hybrid cloud ops practice. It's great to be here. Nice to see you all. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Sam Speakman. Sam has been very heavily involved in this webinar series as well. He tends to be behind the camera, but Sam, it's great to have you on screen today. Thank you for joining.
Thanks,
Sam, you want to tell everyone a little bit about your role and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Harris. It's good to finally be on this side of the camera. So at the moment, I'm a new storage sales specialist, so it's good to actually be front facing finally, and I'm looking forward to talking to you all today. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. It's great to have you here, Sam. And Matt, great to have you on the webinar today. Why don't you tell the audience who you are?
Good morning, everyone. So Matt Irachi, I'm the sales leader for HPE Financial Services across Australia and New Zealand. So myself and my team put together different financial and commercial constructs to help meet our customers' requirements to make it easier and more palatable to get your solutions across the line.
Terrific. Great to have you here, Matt. And Monica, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Monica Burnside, sitting in the Melbourne office, looking after Australia and New Zealand. Wherever customers have IT assets that are surplus to their requirements, I can take those back and provide a data secure, environmentally friendly and high value offering to the customer.
Great. Thanks, Monica. Great to have you here today. All right, so let's talk about the agenda we're going to cover. So today's webinar is going to be approximately an hour. I'll start off with sharing some of the offers related to cloud operations that we announced at Discover. So I'll go through that at the start. And then I'll hand over to Sam to talk about our storage specific offers. Matt will discuss offers from financial services, and then Monica will wrap up with some offers from IT Lifecycle Services, as well as a customer example. Okay. As we go through these, I would encourage all of you to ask questions. There's a chat and a Q&A section. Feel free to utilize those as we go. We're happy to take questions live during the webinar, and we'll also have some time at the end if you'd like to come off mute and ask your question. So you're all on mute now, but if you do want to be unmuted and ask a live question, just let me know and I'll be happy to do that. I'd also encourage you, if you've got a real world scenario or real world use case, bring it forward. If you're concerned about confidentiality and things like that, we're happy to take it offline and discuss it with you. Okay, so this webinar is a little bit different than the ones that we normally do. As a technology company, HPE, we typically talk about technology. Today's a bit different. We're going to be talking about specifically about offers. And the reason I wanted to do that was something interesting happened at Discover this year, which I haven't seen in the past, and that is we launched a number of offers, and they had a lot of positive attention from customers, partners, and the media broadly. There was a lot of positive press, and we got a lot of questions, and that's great. So we love the attention, but what I realized from that was there's a lot of interest in these offers and many valid questions about is this the right offer for me and for my customer, and can I use it in this situation, and what about this and what about that. So I wanted to run this session to first of all create awareness for the different offers, because there are quite a few of them, and to give people an opportunity to understand them in their own situation and whether they're appropriate. So if you're a customer, think about if these make sense for you. If you're a partner, think about how these may make sense if it's a partner offer or for your end customer. Okay. And if you want to use one of these offers, or if you're curious to explore them a bit more, please ask one of us. We're very happy to help. You've got a lot of expertise on the call today, and I would encourage you to take full advantage of that. Okay, so let's start with some of the cloud ops offers. So these are all what we call second half promotions. So first of all, I'll translate that from HPE speak into human English. So HPE's financial year runs from November through October. Okay, so when we talk about the second half of the year, we're talking about our Q3 and Q4. So our Q1 is November, December, January. February, March, April's Q2. May, June, July is Q3, which we just finished now, and August, September, October is Q4. So these offers are all valid today because we're in our, HP's Q4, and they're good until the last day of October because that's the end of our financial year. Now, one thing I get asked a lot is, hey, what if I, plan to make a purchase after October? We will almost certainly have these offers or similar offers in November, but I just don't know what they are yet because they fall into the new financial year and new budget. So think about this in the context of, your adoption between now and October, and, we'll be very happy to do another webinar like this in the new year, probably after Discover Barcelona, where we'll undoubtedly have some new offers. Okay, so these offers are all valid today. Let's start with the first one in the top left there, which is the HP Morpheus software onboarding promotion, also known as the Zerto migration to HVM offer. Okay, so the key question that I do a lot of work with customers who are running VMware today. They're looking to migrate to other platforms, potentially using Morpheus and HVM, for example. And one of the questions that comes up, of course, is, well, what's the best way for me to migrate? I need to convert my VMs, I need to move the data across, and I need to do it in a non-disruptive way that minimizes downtime. Well, Zerto is a great platform for doing that. It is primarily a continuous replication and security platform, but it also can be used and is very effective as a migration tool. So some customers said, we want to license Zerto for its full capability for a term, and of course they're welcome to do that. But we also had some customers who said, I really just want to use Zerto for migration only, and I'm not planning on using it beyond that phase where I'm migrating. And so we released this offer that if you purchase a minimum of 6 sockets of Morpheus VM Essentials or Enterprise or something that includes Morpheus VM Essentials like PC3000, for example, that purchase of Morpheus can qualify you for this special Zerto offer. And essentially what you get is you get 25 Zerto licenses. Zerto's license per VM, for those who are not familiar. So you get 25 Zerto licenses that you can use for migration purposes for a period of a year for $1, okay, which is a great value. And one of the questions that I get is, well, okay, what if I have more than 25 VMs? What do I do? Well, the answer is the 25 VM licenses, that controls the number of VMs you can migrate concurrently or at the same time. So you could assign those 25 licenses to 25 VMs, migrate them, and then once they're migrated, you can reassign those licenses to another 25 VMs and migrate those. So you can purchase multiple if you wish, but if 25 VMs is sufficient for migrating in bulk, which generally it is, then this is a really good approach. Okay, so this is an offer that I strongly encourage customers to consider if they are planning to do a migration to HVM, because it's obviously a very, very good value to be able to get a migration tool for $1 for a full year. And for most customers that we work with, a year is plenty of time to both plan and execute a migration. Okay. Now, this offer on the top left is valid for both customers and for partners. Now, the second offer, which is there in the top right, is the Morpheus Software VM Essentials Migration Advantage offer. And this one is for those customers, again, who are planning a move from, say, VMware to Morpheus VM Essentials. One of the complaints that we get from customers, which is understandable, is they're dealing with unexpected cost increases for VMware licensing. And the problem is that if you're going to move to an alternate platform, you end up in that year of transition, you end up paying both your bill from Broadcom and you end up paying for the other vendor that you plan to move to. So in our attempt to help customers lower their bills, in the short term, their bills end up being a little bit higher because they have that overlap year. So we were very sensitive to that, and we wanted to make this as easy as possible financially. And so this VM Essentials Migration Advantage gives you 1 year of free licensing for Morpheus VM Essentials if you make a commitment to buying a minimum of 20 sockets for 3 years. So you purchase VM Essentials, you're signing up for 3 years, but you don't actually have to make any payments in the first year. So the first year is free. So in that year, you'll pay your final bill to Broadcom, and then migrate away. And then in that next year, in year 2, you'll start paying for VM Essentials, which should be significantly less than what you were paying previously. So that helps avoid that whole double payment challenge that a lot of our customers face. Okay, so the next one I'll talk about is specifically for partners. So this is to allow a partner to purchase Morpheus VM Essentials for their own internal production workloads. So this is not for hosting customer workloads, but if you're a partner and you want to run your own production workloads, we can offer basically zero cost licensing to that partner for 3 years. So it's not completely zero cost. You still have to pay for support, and these licenses still have a support entitlement, so that cost has to be covered. But obviously, the overall cost would be much less because we're basically waiving the cost of the licensing. Okay. Now there are a few requirements to qualify for this. You of course need to be a partner, as I mentioned, but you also need to have at least one competency in HPE private cloud with virtualization in order to qualify. So you've got to be a partner, and you've got to pass that competency as a partner to be able to qualify for this offer. All right, and then finally, we have another partner offer that's specifically for CSPs. This one just launched. We're now in our Q4, so it is available. This is specifically for our service providers. And again, it's a similar model. You commit to 3 years of cloud ops, but we minimize the year 1 payment. So again, it gives you a very, very low payment in year 1. So that it gives you that year of transition, because all of our CSPs, need time to be able to transition away from VMware. So this gives them a small payment in year 1. Now, for this one, you need to sign up to a specific licensing vehicle called a cloud commit. So this is a contract where the CSP agrees to a minimum level of spend over the term. So in this case, you have to commit to a 3-year cloud commit contract with a minimum spend of $500K. Okay, and I'm not going to go into a lot of the details of cloud commit on this webinar. We can have another webinar on that. But if there's any CSPs on the call who are interested in that, curious about it, let me know. I can give you some more details. The way to think about it, just in concept, is it's very much like a cloud commit that you have with a public cloud provider. You agree to a certain amount of spend in dollars over a term, and in return, you get a significant discount on the cost. Okay, so these are the 4 cloud ops offers that we announced at Discover. They are available today, and I'll let people ask questions if they want. I'll go into a little bit more detail on each of them, on some of the nuts and bolts. So one of the things we were talking about before this webinar, it's one thing to know that the offer exists, and we've got a lot of awareness now, I hope, if we're doing our job right. But then when it comes to, okay, well, I want the offer, how do I actually get it? How do I transact it? So I'll give you some details as both a customer and partner for these offers, so you know what you need to do. And these are a good reference, I find. So let's start with the Morpheus software onboarding promotion. Again, this is the one where you need to be a customer who's planning to move from VMware to HP Morpheus and HVM. You need to buy at least 6 sockets of Morpheus licenses, and that gives you the 25 Zerto licenses that you can use for migration. Okay. Now, in order to do this, obviously, probably most of the people on this call, you'll purchase through a partner, so you can contact the partner that you typically purchase your HPE hardware and software from, and you can give them these details. They should probably know what they are. This tells you the SKU that they would need to quote. And we have in there what's called a deal ID. So for different regions, we have deal IDs that basically automatically applies the offer and the discount level. So you don't need to negotiate. You don't need to say nice things about Harris and the way he does webinars. You can just ask for this offer and you'll get it as long as you meet the conditions. And for those partners, if you're curious, we've already prepared a UCID that you can see there. So you can load that UCID copy it and, put your customer details in there, and then bam, you have a quote. So we try to make it as easy as possible. And if anyone has tried to quote this and get stuck, or you have a problem of some sort, or you just have questions, you can ask me or ask your distie, and we'll be very happy to help you. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the next offer and how we transact. So this is the VM Essentials Migration Advantage offer. Again, this you have to purchase a minimum of 20 sockets of Morpheus VM Essentials for a 3 or 5 year term. I've got the SKUs here for both 3 and 5 years, okay? And typically when you buy Morpheus VM Essentials, you would also attach the installation service. So I've put that here too. And again, you can see the deal ID for our region is listed, okay? So we try to make it as easy as possible. And you can combine this offer with the Zerto offer, okay? You need to do it as a separate quote, but you can buy them simultaneously. So you could buy your 20 sockets and qualify for this offer and the Zerto offer at the same time, okay? Now, this is the offer for partners. Again, we've got a SKU that you can quote. There's a specific SKU that we have for partners. This offer is good for up to 100 sockets, okay? And what you can see here is the discount applied is 80%. That, just to refresh your memory, that's just you're paying for the cost of support. So the licensing cost is waived. When you use this SKU with this deal ID, you're really just paying for support in that instance. Okay, and then one more to talk to you about today. So I like to make this point because this is a source of some confusion. So the software in the Cloud Ops Suite, whether you're talking about Morpheus Enterprise or Morpheus VM Essentials, Zerto, OpsRamp, etc., these are products that you license on a term basis, okay? Typically 1, 3, or 5 years. So each SKU, when you license those products, we'll ask you, are you going to do a 1 year, a 3 year, or a 5 year term? Let's say you choose a 3 year or a 5 year term. What it's important to note is that you get a 3 year SKU. As a customer, you're paying for all 3 years up front, right? So the quote that you get will be a single price. It'll cover 3 years of licensing. If you do a 5 year quote, it'll cover 5 years that you pay up front, okay? Many customers will say, listen, I'd like something that works more like a subscription, right? So rather than having to pay for 3 years up front or 5 years up front, I'd like to pay annually, or maybe I want to pay monthly, or maybe I want to pay quarterly, okay? So we have the ability to do that through HPE Financial Services. We'll talk about that a little bit more later today. But I wanted to mention that we have a specific offer where if you do any of the Cloud Ops products that you see here, Morpheus Enterprise, Morpheus VM Essentials, Zerto, or even HPE Data Fabric, you can do a 3 year contract, but instead of paying it for it up front, we can give you 3 annual payments with 0% financing. Okay, so that's really nice. And if you want to do a longer term, we can do that with very, very low financing. So if you're the type of customer who'd like to keep your cash and spend it when you need to, as opposed to paying up front, this is a great offer. And the vast majority of our customers now, by the way, who buy Morpheus and Zerto and Cloud Ops will take advantage of this offer. So it's a really, really great one. All right, so with that, I'll just pause for a minute. There was a question in the chat from David Newton. So David was asking for that 500K limit. What's the currency in that? It is USD, okay? So it's the equivalent of 500K USD. Okay, so with that, I will hand over to Sam Speakman, and I'll let him talk a bit about the starter kits.
Great. Thank you kindly, Harris, and a good morning, evening, afternoon to those that are joining outside of Australia and New Zealand. Thanks for taking the time to join today. So over the next few minutes, I'd just like to introduce you to our HPE storage starter kits, which are a brand new Australia and New Zealand promotion designed to make it easier for partners and customers to access 2 of HPE's leading platforms, that being the HPE Alletra Storage MP B10000 and the HPE StoreOnce Gen 5. And what makes this particularly exciting for us is that we're combining our market-leading storage and data protection technology with some of the most competitive pricing that we've ever offered, at least here locally. especially at a time when organizations are facing rising infrastructure costs and increasing cyber threats. We think that this creates a compelling opportunity for both partners and customers. Next slide, please, Harris. So what exactly is a starter kit? So in simple terms, it's just a predefined configuration framework for Alletra MP and StoreOnce that combines competitive pricing with a fast and simple configuration experience. So instead of navigating complicated configuration processes like the OCA process or going through pricing escalations to get an aggressive price that suits both the partner and the customer, our partners can now work with distributors to quickly configure a solution with an easy-to-use Excel-based tool and then immediately see the promotional pricing that's available. Next slide, please, Harris. So that tool is what we're calling the configurator. So you can see that on the slide here. Imagine that you're walking into a restaurant with a menu that more closely resembles a book. I think we've all had those kind of experiences, and it has hundreds of different items, and you're being told to work out the perfect meal for yourself. That's a little like a traditional configuration experience, whereas starter kits are more like ordering through an interactive ordering system. You choose a few preferences like what's your spice level, protein, vegetables, what sauce you want, add-ons, etc. And the system does the hard work. Then you instantly get what you want and you get to see what it'll cost. That's pretty much how starter kits will work as well. Ultimately, the starter kits are about helping our partners move faster while we're delivering more value to our customers. Next slide, please, Harris. So first, why should our partners care about this? There's 4 major benefits that we see. First is it's really competitive pricing. So partners can bring market-leading storage and data protection solutions to customers at really highly attractive price points. Second, it's the ease of configuration. The process is really straightforward. It's flexible and removes much of the administrative overhead traditionally associated with storage opportunities. Third is partners can move from customer conversations to quote a lot faster. This helps maintain the momentum and hopefully improve your win rates. And finally is the certainty. So extended quote validity periods are available through the starter kit promotion. So partners will have greater confidence and protection against pricing fluctuations throughout the sales cycle. So taken together, we feel that these benefits should help partners spend less time navigating the process and more time focusing on the customer outcomes. Next slide, please, Harris. Of course, why should our customers care? Right?
Sam, before you go on to that, there's just a quick question.
Sure.
Are these starter kits for distributors only, or can partners access them as well?
At the moment, they are for distributors only, but partners can work with their distributors to access a price very quickly.
Thanks, Sam.
No worries. So yeah, why should our customers care? So we've looked at the partner benefits, but customers, you guys don't buy technology because it's easier for HPE to quote. So you invest because you're trying to solve business challenges. And while industry-leading products at some of the most competitive pricing we've ever seen is certainly a tagline that gets attention, the real value we feel lies in the outcome that these solutions deliver at the end of the day. So we're just going to take a quick look at what customers should remember about the storage MP B10000 and StoreOnce platforms. Thanks, Harris. So first, I'll go through the Alletra Storage MP B10000, and I will shorten the name soon, I promise. So when customers look at data storage, you're not often wanting marketing material with speeds and feeds on the latest platform. You're wanting to solve a business and data management problem at the end of the day. So maybe your data growth is driving costs up. Maybe infrastructure has become difficult to scale. Maybe you're being asked to improve cyber resilience without increasing complexity or costs. That's exactly why so many organizations and so many customers are moving on to the Alletra MP platform. It gives the flexibility to scale only what's needed, the simplicity of our AI-powered operations. It gives the confidence that comes from an enterprise-grade resilience and cyber protection setup as well. So ultimately, customers are choosing us because our technology gives the right combination of flexibility, simplicity, and peace of mind. Next slide, please, Harris. So if you're wondering if organizations are actually making this move and it's not just us, saying things, well, B10K is the fastest growing all-flash storage platform in the market. It's delivered double-digit growth for 5 consecutive quarters. It's growing at twice the rate of the market, and we now have 10,000 systems shipped globally. And to me, I think that's important because it shows this isn't just an HPE story. Thousands of customers have evaluated the options, they've looked at the alternatives, and they've decided that Alletra MP was the right platform for them. I think that's the strongest validation that any technology can have. Next slide, please, Harris. So the reason so many customers are adopting B10,000 is largely because of the outcomes being delivered to customers that have already invested. So, we're able to use the references and show the proof. So some are reducing total cost of ownership by up to 40%. Others are lowering their energy consumption and reclaiming valuable data center space. Many are improving resilience through the availability guarantees that we offer, while also using AI-driven operations to proactively prevent issues before users even notice them. Perhaps most importantly, IT teams are spending less time managing storage, more time focusing on projects that actually move the business forward. And that's really the common thread that we hear from customers. You're not looking for another storage array, you're looking for a better outcome, which is what Alletra MP delivers. Next slide, please, Harris. Of course, every data conversation eventually gets to the same question: what happens when something goes wrong? Whether it's ransomware, accidental deletion, hardware failure, human error, you want the confidence that you can recover quickly. And that's where StoreOnce becomes an important part of the story. So on the slide here, these aren't just theoretical challenges. These are the exact conversations that we're having with our customers daily. They're struggling with rising costs. They're concerned about ransomware, especially with the rapid adoption of AI in ransomware. They're being asked to protect more data, ensure it can be recovered quicker, and that it complies with regulatory and operational standards, and doing all that without growing the team budget or the team itself to manage it. We're trying to manage a mix of on-premise and cloud workloads as well that weren't really designed to work together. They don't scale, and they have a limited support ecosystem as well around them. So if any of those issues sound familiar, you're not alone. These are some of the challenges that led to many customers adopting the StoreOnce platform. So next slide, please, Harris. So what we really like about StoreOnce is that it was built around the challenges that customers are telling us they have. You want stronger protection against ransomware. You want backups that don't consume excessive amounts of storage. You want to be able to recover fast and predictably. You want solutions that offer flexibility in how it's deployed into your environment. And that's exactly what the StoreOnce delivers in terms of its value. Next slide, please, Harris. So the reason that customers continue to invest in StoreOnce is that cyber resilience, it's no longer something you can afford to compromise on. You're looking for confidence that data can be backed up and easily altered, confidence that recovery points are protected, confidence that if something happens, you can recover quickly. At the same time, you're trying to manage this explosive data growth and rising infrastructure costs. And that's why capabilities like the 60-to-1 data reduction, the air gap protection, immutability, the flexible deployment options, they resonate so strongly. Customers, you're not buying backup storage, you're buying confidence that you can recover when it matters most. And that's what StoreOnce delivers. Next slide, please, Harris, and I'll just wrap up. So I'd like to leave you with three key takeaways, three simple takeaways. First, organizations, they're choosing Alletra Storage MP B10,000 because it helps them lower costs. It simplifies operations and improves resilience without sacrificing the performance. Second, they're choosing StoreOnce because data protection has become too important just to leave to chance. It provides cyber resilience, recovery capabilities, and operational simplicity that modern environments demand. Organizations, they've looked at the alternatives, they're assessing their options, and they're increasingly deciding that we're the right path forward. So through the starter kit promotion, we're making that decision even easier with simplified configuration, faster quoting, and some of the most competitive pricing that we've ever offered. So if you're looking to modernize your storage, strengthen cyber resilience, or simply start a conversation about reducing infrastructure costs, I'd highly encourage you to explore these solutions further and see why so many organizations are already making the move. Again, thank you very much for the time today, everyone, and I'll pass it over to Matt. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to talk about something that I think gets everyone very excited. That's financial services. I want to talk about a few different options that were launched at Discover, but I guess outside of standard financing, without me kind of talking about standard, 12 to 60 month leases, some of the creativity and some of the different structures behind some of the finance options that we can actually provide, and some of those being some of the 0% campaigns that Harris talked about earlier, but as well as some of the others which I'll jump into now. So Harris, if we can get to the first slide, please. So the first solution that I want to talk about, which has gathered a bit of attention, is our 99 Advantage. Now, this one we see quite a lot in the market when we've got customers that are moving from one platform to another, even if it's across different HPE platforms or HPE solutions, or even from alternative vendor solutions. And ultimately, what this program does is it mitigates the risk when moving across those platforms, and it stops those overlapping costs, especially where, let's say, you're moving from one platform to another. You may have anything from 2, 3 to 6 to 12 months of support or licensing costs left on that platform, but for one reason or another, you need to move across to a new platform now. What this does, if we look here, is you've got no payments for the first 90 days. So it helps kind of remove that double bubble for that first transition period. But then after that 90 days, you've got an ultra low payment amount for the next 9 months. So, and that's up to less than 10% of the original equipment cost over the first period. So if it is $100,000, you're looking at less than $10,000 over the first 12-month period in terms of rent that you actually pay for those assets. So this one's been quite a popular solution, as I say, when customers are moving from one platform to another, and there is an element of risk or an element of migration where you're having to pay for both assets at the same period of time. This helps de-risk that when you're making that transition across to those assets. I will also say, if anyone has any questions, feel free to just throw them in the chat window as we're going, and I'll answer them as I go along. This solution can be used for compute, for storage, also for networking. We also do see it a lot on the HP workplace asset side as well. We are starting to see this come up more and more, especially in the ever-changing environment where pricing is going up and up and up, and you have a shorter window to potentially take up some of those pricing options before they go away. We're starting to see customers, partners, and disties look at these options more and more. Next slide, please, Harris. So this is another interesting solution which has kind of come up recently in the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months. And this is to address a lot of customer concerns where they traditionally may not lease, but they're looking for something more like an installment payment plan. It's a short form contract that allows the customer to take title of these assets on day one. But if I talk you through kind of the construct that we have here, if you're looking at it, let's say today's solution of $1 million with potentially an extra $2 million over that next period of time. So you're looking at about $3 million over a 12-month period. If we assume probably a conservative rate in the current market of a 30% increase over 12 months, which I'd probably say is quite conservative, you're looking at about $3.9 million over the term. Whereas if you lock that in today, you're looking at, there is an interest component, but you're looking at only 3.4 of total payments, including interest with you owning the assets versus that 3.9 mil over that term. So there is a true cost, and especially in the current market with things going the way they are, with SSD pricing increasing, with memory pricing increasing, now you're hearing talks of potentially chipsets and things like that. I don't think this is going to be something that stops in the short term. So there's different solutions available that we have to enable customers to lock in today and avoid some of those increases, because that's one of the things that we're starting to see is customers will just look at a smaller portion of their fleet or their refresh because the budget doesn't go further enough. But what they're actually doing by kicking that can down the road is they're subjecting themselves to further price increases when it does get to that point, as pricing is going up and up and up from what we've seen. Next slide, please, Harris. And then I'll bring you to the third solution, which is the last one that I'll mention, is our extended deployment services. So this one is a great one when you've got, let's say, multiple sites that you're deploying over a period of time, or it's a phased deployment over a period of time. It allows you to lock in pricing on day one. So if you are looking at, let's say, storage, if you're looking at compute, if you're looking at networking, ultimately what it does is it locks in your assets on day one, locks in your pricing on day one, but you're only charged for what's deployed within that specific quarter. So what it's actually doing is it's guaranteeing you over the next 12 months that you're not going to be subject to any price increases over that 12-month period, which this has been quite a powerful promotion, which we've seen a fair few customers take this up, more on the networking side. We've seen some on the compute and some on the storage side, but due to the fact that you can lock in that pricing today, you can lock in that stock today, and you're only paying as the deployment goes along. So you're locking in that budget, which is something in terms of when we talk about certainty in the market. To have that certainty over that period of time and know that you're not going to get a price increase, this has been quite powerful, and we've seen a lot of customers come to talk to us about these solutions. Any questions on any of those? Let me just check Q&A window. Nothing yet, but I will also kind of add on. So as much as I've spoken about these 3 solutions that we've got here, it can be a mix of all these solutions. We can tailor different solutions. We're having more and more conversations with our customers now outside of standard finance to really come up with the right solution that meets your requirements. So it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be the other one. It can be chop and change, a bit of this, a bit of that, and we'll ultimately build the solution to match your financial budgets as what's required. We are seeing a lot out of Discover in terms of networking. So, I mean, Harris mentioned the 0% licensing options previously. So we do that on Mist as well. So we are starting to see a lot of that on the networking side when it comes to Mist. But ultimately, if you have a commercial construct that you need to meet, if you've got, different buckets, or you've got a budget and, you're struggling to hit a certain dollar amount, please do engage myself or my team, and we can come up with the right model to reverse engineer it to fit what you're after. That's it for myself, and I'll pass it over to Monica.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so I'm here to talk about IT lifecycle services, previously known as asset upcycling services. If you go to the next slide, Harris. This is just a little bit of a snapshot of all the wonderful programs that HPFS offers. Matt went through a couple of the payment structures that we offer. And so what we're talking about now is kind of this bottom right-hand section, the asset upcycling IT asset disposal. So whenever a customer has a piece of IT equipment, anything from a mobile phone through to a Cray supercomputer, we can take that back and provide value as well as a data secure and environmentally friendly solution. If you go to the next slide, Harris. So I think that nowadays all customers have got a solution that they're using for their unwanted IT equipment. Absolutely. So I'd like to talk now about the ways that HPFS differentiates itself in the market. So firstly, we have our revenue sharing model, and I'm going to go through some examples of where this has really paid off for customers in a moment. Essentially, what we do is we provide value back to customers, but the way that we do it is through a fully transparent revenue sharing model. So at the moment, with the rising RAM market, we're seeing incredible increases in the value of used equipment, and we share that with customers. So if a customer does a quote at the beginning of the month, and by the time we receive it and sell it, perhaps a month later, the price has gone up, we share that with the customer. We're completely vendor agnostic. We'll take back any equipment. We've honed our skills in this area by our lease returns, and our leasing portfolio includes a lot of non-HP, non-HPE equipment, and therefore we cover all assets with this offering. The second differentiator is around data security. So we're tasked with taking back assets from banks, from federal government, from local government, from really customers who are very conscious of a data security model that they need to use that is best in class. And that's what we're offering here. We meet all NIST standards and all local regulations with regards to data security. Thirdly, we have our sustainability message. Now, there are 2 great messages here. Firstly, we have that we're returning less than 0.5% to landfill. So in terms of a hierarchy of environmental kind of benefits, firstly, reuse is the best. So that is what we try to do always. That provides the best value to the customer. It provides the best solution for the environment, because we're not creating a new product, we're extending the life of an existing product. So no new resources are required to resell and reuse a piece of equipment. Then we've also got the recycling as the second kind of best alternative. Recycling is great, but it is very water intensive and very energy intensive. So we only do that where the items have got no longer have an economic viability. And then lastly, we will return things to landfill if there is no other option. But for us, that's only 0.5% of all those lease returns and all those customer-owned assets that we're taking back. And then the second tier of this is that we're providing circular economy reports. So those reports will tell you exactly how the IT department has contributed to any environmental goals that your organization may have. So any kind of net zero programs that you have in your goals, we can provide the reports that show how returning your assets through our program have contributed to those reporting metrics. And then fourthly, we've got that we're a trusted partner. So oftentimes we find customers are using local providers, which is great, but in the case of HPE, that you're working with a multinational trusted organization who can assist with a uniform trusted solution anywhere in the world. We have a dedicated local HPFS team that, can assist with any requirements. So you've got the best of both worlds there. And then finally, as I've mentioned a couple of times, we're vendor agnostic. So we take back any IT equipment, whether it be HP, HPE or other. Can you go to the next slide, please, Harris? So as I mentioned, we always prioritize reuse over recycle for the many benefits that I indicated before. And what we're doing is we're essentially refurbishing and remarketing the technology for a second useful life, and with those great revenue sharing capabilities I mentioned. So you can trust that there's an end-to-end logistics secure solution for your customer or for yourselves, and we're complying with any regional and worldwide regulations. And you're essentially partnering with an expert team with just got more than 20 years of IT lifecycle experience. So you're in very safe hands when you choose HPE for this service. Next slide, please, Harris. I want to talk a little bit about the kind of excellent customer stories with that first differentiator, the revenue share. So we had an Australian federal government department who asked us to take back their Hitachi systems, and we provided them with a quote, which was, I think it was $60,000 US, and we ended up paying them an extra $500,000 just because of this rising market. So that's a great success story, and I really can't imagine a competitor that would kind of, not keep that money for themselves. So that is a really big advantage of using our program. Then we also had one of the big four Australian banks who asked us to take out their Gen 9 servers. And for that one, we paid them an additional $250,000. And then finally, there was a New Zealand service provider who we took out Gen 9 and Gen 10 servers. And for those guys, we gave them an extra $550,000. So these are real life examples of where we have not kept the money for ourselves. We've shared it with the customer, and we've really got a great success story here around always doing the right thing by yourselves. Can we go to the next one, please?
Different components of the cloud of software.
So I wanted to give kind of a referenceable customer success story. We've been working with DHL now for many years. It definitely started in Europe with their really firm requirement to have environmentally friendly solutions. So they definitely chose us because of our circular economy reporting, and also that sustainability message where less than 0.5% is going to landfill. And what we're tasked with throughout the world for DHL is taking back their assets when they don't need them anymore, and disposing of those in an environmentally friendly way. And I'm talking about, hundreds of thousands of assets. And it's a really great success story around how, they chose their pain point, and for them, their pain point was absolutely environmentally related. But, that's why they chose us. But we also have the data security and the value back to the customer, which they were delighted with as well. And you'll be getting these slides, so please take the time to sort of look at them, and if you have any questions, you can always contact me. Are there questions in the Q&A? You have a look.
We don't have any active questions right now, or the ones that we had have been answered.
Right.
So
okay.
I think we're doing all right. You can keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. That's really all I had. We have the process outline here if anyone's interested in that. As I mentioned, you'll be getting the slides sent to you, but we're doing everything from the collection through to the audit report and settlement. And it's just a great way to eliminate that end of use sprawl of assets across your organizations. Yeah, I think that was about it. Just a quick slide on the valuation requirements. If you do have a list of equipment, that's what we would ideally like. But if it's HPE equipment, we could just go by the serial number anyway. I would just encourage you to reach out to me if you have any requirements, and we'll be able to help you with that value.
That was great.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Harris.
it. Wonderful. All right, guys. Well, now we're at the Q&A section. So thanks for those who have asked questions during the session. I'm going to open it up now. If people want to put a question in the chat or the Q&A, they're welcome to. Or if you'd like, I can take you off mute and you can ask a question live. But I thought I'd kick things off with a few different questions for the team. So Sam, first of all, I just want to say a big thank you, because I know a lot of work has gone into creating these offers, for customers. So thanks for putting that together. Do you have any tips or any guidance for people, or any kind of closing words you want to say about the offers, or anything that you can share with our customers on today?
Sure. So this isn't necessarily a new program that's being run. I did mention this is the first time it's being run in Australia and New Zealand, but it is a program that was created in Central Europe and has been refined and really got to work strongly there as well. And we've seen phenomenal success, and that's why a lot of customers are finding those price points really attractive, and partners are finding the ease of configuration and the ability to price at those price points really attractive. So I strongly encourage reaching out either through your partners, and if you're a partner, reach out to your distributors. And to answer the question that Jacob had in the chat before, it is Tier 1 Platinum and distributors that have access to the starter kits. So if you are not a Tier 1 partner that's Platinum partner or a distributor, just contact either of those, and they will have the tools, and we'll be, I'm sure, very excited to have a conversation with you about it further.
Absolutely. And please let us know, as Sam said, this is the first time we're rolling out this program in Australia. We'd love to get your feedback. We've tried to choose models that we think will, make your lives easier. If we've done that well, let us know. If we haven't, let us know too. Okay.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. And I'd say the same thing too about, the offers that we've rolled out at Discover. Overall, I'd say I've gotten really good feedback, but if that offer is not suitable for you, or, there's something about it that we could do to improve, love to hear from you guys, because the offers are a standard way that we can engage with customers, but it doesn't preclude us from doing something one offer special if you have a particular need. Okay. Matt, why don't I hand it over to you? Sort of any parting comments, any kind of insights you want to share with the group, or any kind of calls to action you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, finance isn't really finance anymore. It's people think of finance as, I can't afford a solution, so I need finance. Finance these days is about coming up with the right commercial model to fit a business's needs, and tailoring it in the right way. So that's kind of what I'll just leave with. And it is a way in the current market to give businesses back certainty and protect them from those price increases that are coming, and also help them lock in some stock, in opposed to placing a bunch of ad hoc orders over a period of time, to locking in their stock and pricing today. So yeah, I'll kind of just leave that there, that finance isn't just finance. It's a solution to enable partners and customers to bring back a little bit of certainty, and come up with the right commercial modeling for their business.
No, thanks, Matt. I think that's a great point. And, one thing I've always found working with your team, and this is feedback that I get consistently from customers and partners, is the amount of flexibility and patience that your team has in dealing with them and tailoring and offering for their specific needs. So again, we've showed you some standards types of solutions, and I think they're great, but, we're also happy to work with you on a case-by-case basis where it makes sense. So thanks for that, Matt. I appreciate it. And Monica, just to wrap us up, any kind of closing thoughts or
I suppose,
final points you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. So I suppose in the case of wherever you're, purchasing new equipment and you're, seeing old equipment being left sort of behind, do consider us as a possible cash injection for those items. We are seeing at the moment with the RAM market, we are seeing value in assets up to 7 years old. So, don't write it off and just think, that won't be worth anything. That's just rubbish, because at the moment, a rising tide, I suppose, floats all boats, and we're riding that as well. So do consider us, and don't leave things just sitting around because it's too hard. Our process is a well-honed, very simple process that you can utilize for any unwanted IT asset equipment.
No, that's a great point, Monica. In fact, we had a situation with the customer just recently where they had a whole closet full of old, what they thought was junk that they were going to throw away, but because of, the secondary market demands,
right.
It was actually worth something, and they were very pleasantly surprised. So,
That's
and
right.
very little of that equipment was HPE, from what I recall. Most of what we got was non. So
Yeah,
that's a
that's right.
great. It's a great scenario. So,
Yes.
definitely think about, that old junk that you got lying around. We'd like to give it a new home somewhere, and get you something better that you can use. So, definitely let us
Absolutely.
know if we can help you there. All right, guys. Well, this has been a great webinar. I really appreciate you coming today. I hope it's been valuable for the attendees. We're happy to make any of the content available, and if people have questions, please contact us. We'd love to help. And everyone, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Thank you.